Okay, so we just witnessed the Bulls game. Watched. It was bad.
Unpleasant.
42-37 to the Sunwolves. A bad loss. Bulls had a lot of injuries, but they were replaced by a lot of good players. Andre Liebenberg, Piers Kuman came back. Birgit Oudendal was injured, of course, the captain. Jumbo Ulengo came back. So I thought it was quite a good team. A lot of players must have been quite rusty because they recently came back. Made silly mistakes. But I don't think there's many excuses. I don't know. What do you think?
That team on paper was good enough.
Yeah.
There's no excuses. It's a horrible performance. In saying that, I think the Sunwolves were very clinical. They did their jobs brilliantly. I mean, they execute with precision and they do exactly what they need to do in the moment. Their defense wasn't amazing. I mean, Van der Heerwe basically gave us 2 tries.
Yeah, definitely.
And I am worried about where the Bulls are at mentally, because it's not good to go and lose to the Sunwolves with such a good team with a new coach. But maybe it's still part of the rebuilding phase. And I remember when the Lions were going through a similar phase and you had to be patient. But it's just horrible.
The thing is, how long do you stick with that rebuilding phase thing? I mean, okay, it's the first season under John Mitchell.
And last year was a disaster.
No, last year was an absolute disaster.
You know what I mean? And Jesse Creel had a hell of a game, and Jumbo looked good. But
I think he lacks that sharpness, that last pass. I mean, last week against the Springboks, he hit a clean gap.
For the Springboks.
Yeah,
because he wasn't playing against
the Springboks, of course. He hit a clean gap, and all he had to do was give the ball to Sabun Corsi, and he gave it too early, and it was actually open in front of him.
Yeah.
And and it sort of gave a too early pass to Jumbo Ulengo as well this week. So
where I think I was disappointed with the Bulls was they were dominating at scrum time. They were good in the lineouts. They were just not clinical. Cleaning the ball, getting the ball out quickly.
Crucial tackles.
And the decision making on the ball. I mean, where do we pass, where do we run, etc. The guys were completely confused. Andre Pollard, as good as he was for the Springboks, he threw a couple of really dodgy passes. His kicking was great. But it was a very disappointing match. And well done to the Sunwolves and Willie Brits and his team, because it's nice to see that South Africans are actually performing overseas. A guy like Hutton and Van der Heerwe we can't talk about because he was rubbish. But
and a couple of New Zealanders as well, and a couple of Islanders. It's not really that Japanese aside if you look at the team in a whole. But that doesn't matter. I mean, they're well coached. We got to give them that. They're very well coached.
They're a lot better than what they were last season. Just one point on refereeing. There's been a lot said about refereeing this weekend, particularly from Brad Thorne, coach of the Reds. And I must say today as well, I don't want to complain, but what I do want to say is that the refs are completely inconsistent. I mean, the Bulls had a knock-on advantage. We broke away, and in our breakaway, the ref calls us back to play our set piece. And I just think that kind of thing has to leave the game. And also some of these TMO calls on the try line are so 50-50. It just feels like the defensive team's always going to get the benefit of the doubt. And I just think that rugby is in a dodgy place right now from that perspective.
Look, I watched that Reds game, and there were 2 yellow cards given that were... the commentator made a very interesting comment. He said eventually they're going to give yellow cards for a guy carrying the ball that runs too hard into a defensive player, and he hurts the defensive player, and that's not within the laws and stuff.
It's obviously sarcastic, but that's how it feels like.
I mean, it feels like it's becoming ballet, You can't do anything.
I mean, let's just think about the All Blacks France tests. The red cards and yellow cards in those matches, how ridiculous that was.
The guy got a fractured skull, and the opposition player wasn't penalised for it.
The All Blacks were lucky. You know what I mean? They were lucky. They still probably would have won those games, but they were very lucky with the refereeing decisions. It's almost like the All Blacks can't make a mistake.
No, it's definitely...
Referees watch the other teams when they're playing against the All Blacks.
No, the refs feel guilty to blow dubious calls against the All Blacks, for sure.
Anyway, all of them are Tony Romo, as far as I'm concerned.
I need to say something about what we are drinking.
Yes, we are drinking.
This is definitely one of the top 10 strongest brandies that I've ever had. That's a miracle that I'm not slurring at the moment, probably.
Cheers, Ansi.
Cheers. Thanks.
It's a KWV 10-year 5 fingers with Coke.
Yes.
It's delicious.
That's good.
Anyway.